Now, everyone, I want to introduce our next speaker. She is a successful woman entrepreneur, Jillian Zambon. Jillian is going to be teach you the 5 ways to increase your revenue and how to scale your business and generate more revenue for your business. I want to bring on Jillian here to the High Performance Estimate Wealth Expo. Hey, Jillian, welcome.
Hello. Thank
Hello.
you.
Thank you. So what I'm going to do, Jillian, is I'm going to turn over to you, and we're going to be in for a great treat. She's going to teach you the 5 ways to generate more revenue consistently in your business. So thank you so much for joining us, Jillian.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dr. Jill Zambon. I am a Navy veteran, a multi-business owner, entrepreneur, and also a real estate investor. And so today I want to talk to you about how to stabilize your business in a volatile economy. I don't think you need me to tell you the state of our economy right now. Some of the other speakers have already alluded to it. We know inflation, we know what's happening with the stock market. So I don't want to focus on the problems. I want to focus on the solutions. But before I jump into that, I want to share a story with you because I think it exemplifies kind of my experience with starting my own businesses. I have an 8-year-old daughter, and when she was 2 or 3 years old, I started her in swim lessons. And I desperately wanted her to learn how to swim just for safety reasons and because it was something that myself I had struggled with. So I put her in swim lessons year round. She did it in the summer, she did it during the school year, any camps, any school camps. I always had her in swimming lessons and nothing was working. She still could not swim to save her life. And so finally, I kind of threw my hands up and I said, okay, that's it. I'm not doing any more lessons. It's a waste of time. This is crazy. And right after I made that decision, I took her to a new summer camp and they swam every day, but they didn't offer lessons. And so she came home that first day and she said, guess what, Mom? I jumped in the side of the pool. And I said, what do you mean you jumped off the side of the pool? And she said, yeah, all the other kids, they jumped in. And so I just did it too. And now I can swim. And so I asked the camp counselors the next day, I said, did Jade jump off the side of the pool and now she knows how to swim? And they said, yeah, she didn't have any problems. And I tell you that story because you can sit and learn something all day long, right? So I have a bachelor's in business, in finance and economics. I have a master's in business, in project management. I have a doctorate in healthcare administration. But until I kind of jumped off the side of the pool to start my own business, I really couldn't put those things into place. And so I've heard a lot of the other speakers say, you can sit and learn all day long about different ways to help your business or get into real estate investing. But until you jump off the side of the pool, until you start to implement and actually take action, nothing in your life is going to change. And does it come without fear? Absolutely not. Yes, it is scary to completely shift the paradigms and the old mindset in your life, but is it worth it so that you can set your kids up for a better future, so that you can have some time, so you can enjoy life a little more? Yes, it is definitely worth it. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I told you a little bit about myself. So I actually was born and raised in Vermont. I joined the Navy Seabees at the age of 18. I was an engineer and got out of the military, moved back to Vermont and jumped into IT management consulting. And I was in IT for a long time until within the last couple of years when I finally left the corporate world. And I got into healthcare in 2013. And over time, I slowly, I made my way up the ladder. I was earning pretty good salary, right? $250,000 a year, and was working in the pharmaceutical space. But I had this kind of deep internal divide that what I was doing just didn't feel right anymore. And I had done everything I was supposed to. I went to college. I got the good job. I, had a daughter. I was checking all the boxes in the way that I was raised, but it just didn't feel right. I just was working so hard for someone else and someone else's dream. And it was at the expense of my daughter. So my kind of breaking point was that during COVID, I worked for a pharmaceutical company that did all the preclinical trials for the COVID vaccine. And so while other companies kind of let their employees, I don't want to say get a little lax, but they had a little more leeway to help their children, I didn't have that ability because I'm a single parent. I needed to work and I couldn't spend the time with my daughter on her schooling. And so I actually ended up picking up and moving from New Hampshire to Florida in the middle of COVID so that I could get her back into school. And it had gotten so bad, and I had kind of neglected her schooling to the point that she was in second grade, then reading at a kindergarten level, because I was prioritizing my career and my job that much more above my own daughter. And so I decided at that point, this is time to change my life. Something has got to give. And at that time is when I started my first business. And so I started an e-commerce business. Everyone says it's so easy, open an e-commerce business, you can sell anything online. And I'll go into some ideas later on for what I wish I had done. But at the end of the day, it has been a great learning experience, and it has brought me so many different opportunities and opened new doors for me. But today, what I really want to focus on for you guys is 5 ways to stabilize your business, even in an economy like we are seeing today. So this is an overview. Feel free to take a screenshot of this so that you don't have to write it all down. First strategy is to identify new opportunities. So there's really a mindset shift in focusing, instead of focusing on the problem, focus on the solutions. So some of the best inventions have actually happened in an economic downturn. I was researching some of the inventions that came out during the Great Depression, for example. They had nylon toothbrush bristles, they had Toll House cookies. Sliced bread was invented during the Great Depression. So COVID is no excuse to not be innovative. You actually have time to focus on identifying new solutions to these new problems. Second strategy is forming partnerships, and we've heard a lot about this today. And I think for me, the biggest obstacle to get through with partnerships is a scarcity mindset. So when you're raised with a family that you feel like there's not enough food, there's not enough money, there's not enough time, right? You carry that into your professional and your entrepreneurial relationships and your world. And so finding partnerships that are going to be mutually beneficial is very important to growing a solid business. Strategy number 3 is having a backup plan. So especially for people on here that maybe you have multiple passions, like me, for example, I have e-commerce, I have real estate investing, and I have marketing consulting. And you can actually use knowledge from your other industries and carry it over into the business that maybe isn't performing so well and help alleviate some of that pressure from yourself. I'll go into a specific example later on in this presentation. Number 4, and I wish I had known about this earlier, is to purchase an existing established business. I did not even know that this was an option. My dad actually owns his own business, but I never knew that you could go online and you could do a search for businesses for sale, and there are websites where there are businesses for sale. There are business brokers out there that will help you connect with a person that's selling their business. And then strategy number 5 is get good at marketing. So no matter what you do or where you go, understanding marketing, how to position your product, how to get that competitive advantage, and how to find your niche and the gap in the market is so critical to anything that you do. All right, so we're going to go ahead and jump right in. So strategy number 1 is identifying new opportunities. And I'm actually going to give you some real life examples that I've had with small businesses that I've personally worked with. So you see the quote across the top from Benjamin Franklin: every problem is an opportunity in disguise. And I really believe this. I think COVID probably completely overwhelmed a lot of us, but there were so many opportunities that came out of COVID. So the first one, I actually consulted for a dentist who is very forward thinking, and he saw COVID as a way to distribute medical devices to other dentists, especially things like handheld x-ray machines. So why is this important? Because the long-term impacts of COVID we're seeing impacts different parts of your body. So your lungs, your brain, it's more than just, your cardiac system. It's having a lot different impacts than we knew at first. And so he was able to jump on the bandwagon and start to build relationships with other dentists to say, hey, have you considered, looking at x-ray machines? And that gives patients an extra point of care in screening that they might not otherwise get. And another thing that he actually jumped on board with was providing COVID tests, PPE gear, thermometers, cleaning products, all of these things that if COVID wasn't here, he would never have had that opportunity or that entryway to start selling and distributing those types of devices. So another example is labor shortages. We know a lot of people were being paid more by not working during COVID than they were in their normal jobs. And that problem is created a problem where people don't want to go back to work. And so I have reached out to small businesses to talk to them about their marketing. And they're telling me what I really need is I need help recruiting. I need help creating recruiting videos and getting good staff here on site. And then, a ton of people left their jobs during COVID, right? They call it the Great Resignation. And so those people essentially over time will probably start to look for new jobs. And because so much more people are working remote, they have opportunity to move out of the city to lower costs of living, which means they can take a lower paying job, but one that they might actually like a lot more. And so there's a gap there. There is a need to help create and solve the problem of that labor shortage by setting up staffing agencies. This is a great example of a business you could go out and purchase that already exists. I just saw one online last week. It's in the mountains of Colorado. So if you're located in Colorado, you can go on bizbuysell.com and you can look up staffing agencies for sale. And I know there's a good one for sale. They've been around a long time, but that's just an example. You can do that search wherever you are locally. You can look for staffing agencies for sale near me, see if there's an opportunity. Third example, sterilization products. So I consulted with a man who has a patent formula for sterilization products. This is something he had started a while ago, but as this discussion about COVID had started, he decided to just patent the formula and put it in a way that was easier to get out to consumers than what he originally planned. And so he got that patent at the end of 2019, and then the beginning of 2020, he had that ready to go. And now he's selling that to schools and different, large event places where they need to clean and disinfect. And with the sterilization product, it actually lasts a lifetime. So there's some upkeep, of course, but unlike a Lysol or something like that, he can actually go in and kill those germs for good. Another opportunity that came out was homeschooling. So when parents started to homeschool their kids, they started to realize, oh, shoot, we could actually do this at home and it gives us more flexibility in our life. And so there's this growing demand for homeschooling children and having a platform that the kids could go out and be self-paced and self-taught. And so that's another opportunity that's come out of COVID. And I'll give you guys a few minutes in the chat if you feel comfortable. Put some ideas that you have thought of for new opportunities that came up during COVID that would not otherwise have come up. And then I'll read them back at the end of the presentation. So any opportunities that you've thought of during COVID for business ideas, and maybe it's something you want to do. Very excited to see kind of what you guys came up with. So second strategy to stabilize your business is forming partnerships. And I will be the first one to admit that I was very against partnerships because, you hear the horror stories about businesses forming partnerships or, in real estate, investor partnerships going bad. But this is my advice. Don't base your thoughts on partnerships on one bad experience, because I think for every one bad experience is probably a lot of partnerships that have gone very well and that people have come out very financially stable because of that partnership. And there's this scarcity mindset we sometimes go through, right? Where when we think that there's not enough money, we don't want to partner with other people because we're afraid if our client or our customer is spending money with our partner, then they won't have enough money to spend with us. And it's just not true. The fact that you can bring on partners and immediately increase the audience that you're now in front of is reason enough to form that partnership. You guys can actually exponentially grow your business by forming really solid partnerships. So some ideas that I've used personally is co-hosting events. So if you can find another business, so B2B partnerships, that's a business to business partnership. If you can find another business that complements you. So for example, I have an online e-commerce store brand, and I found a local partner that likes to host pop-up events. We have complementary products to each other. We overlap in our demographic and our target customer. And so it was a given that we could host pop-up parties together and both drive clientele to each other. And it's really fun to get that face-to-face interaction with your client or customer. Another thing that's really popular is referral programs. So let's say you have a service-based business, and instead of constantly having to chase down new customers, if you pay a client that's had a really good experience with you, let's say a couple $100, right? Hey, send someone my way. If they sign up, I'll kick you back, $200 if they sign on to my program. That's a great way to kind of expedite that trust building process, because now you've built trust with your client who already has trust with their family and friends. So when they say, hey, go hire this coach, you've just increased and made faster that whole front end marketing and sales process. Another thing you can do with these partnerships is simply sharing lessons learned. So you can join a local chamber meeting, a local commerce kind of group, and just talk to other people and see what they've learned in their businesses and how are they coming through this kind of economic, recession, so to speak, that we're in, and how are they handling that really well. And then last idea is join each other's Instagram and Facebook lives, or go onto other people's podcasts as a guest. This is, again, another good way to get in front of a larger audience without having to build up that whole following before you can get in front of them. So another partnership idea is affiliate marketing. So this is so weird to me, but there are people out there who they thoroughly enjoy pushing your product and promoting your product for you, even though they're not a staff member on your team. So it's so crazy how the world is changing with sales and staffing and employment. But these affiliate marketers, and you can find them on social media, they basically get a commission to make your product look good. And they love that. They do this as a living. So they can talk about your product on a blog with a link back to your product. Maybe you give them, let's say, a 10% commission and then a bonus structure quarterly for your top sellers, something like that. And there's plugins. So let's say you have a product, a Shopify website, something like that. There are affiliate plugins for the Shopify website. So you can set that up quick and get it running. It does not have to be a really long, drawn out thing. Decide what your structure is, figure out the people that would be good to be an affiliate marketer for you, and then get the program set up and just start going with it. On the flip side, you can be an affiliate marketer. So if you're like me and you also offer a service, so when I bring marketing clients on, I have CRMs, I have funnel building platforms, I have, Canva and different marketing tools that I use. And when I kind of give my clients an idea of what I call the tech stack, the technology I recommend, I can send them through my affiliate link. So now I'm getting passive income because they're on the tool that I have suggested to them and I know how to use it. So I'm able to give them a better marketing experience because I can get them up and running much quicker. And so that's another way you can also position yourself to be an affiliate marketer, right? You could be the person giving referrals to other people's coaching program and ask for a small kickback. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So, like I said, partnerships are just a great way to get your brand name out there to a broader audience much, much quicker. You see the quote at the bottom from Helen Keller, alone we can do so little and together we can do so much. And you don't have to do it all alone, right? Third strategy is a backout plan. So Henry Ford said, failure is simply the opportunity to begin again, this time more intelligently. So having a backout plan does not mean you failed. Maybe you just need to alleviate the pressure from one of your businesses while the economy kind of restabilizes itself. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. So for my multi-passionate entrepreneurs, use your other industry knowledge to help back out the business that's struggling. So for me, I have an e-commerce brand, and something that I'm looking into is purchasing a mixed use space under that LLC where I could rent out the space as passive income for that business. And then eventually, if I want to own a storefront, then I'll already have it available to me. So I can do that. But it helps alleviate some of the pressure from having to sell so quickly through that e-commerce platform. And the thing about buying real estate as part of your business is the SBA loves that. So SBA is the Small Business Association. They have different levels of loans that you can get through them. Not directly through them, you have to go to a lender, but you can actually get better terms on their loans. And some lenders will let you take up to 90% loan to value. So if you're like me and you purchase stuff for cash flow and you're not afraid of taking the debt, you vetted the business idea, you vetted the real estate, you're pretty sure it's going to be a good investment for you. This is a great way to kind of get a portfolio for your business and use real estate as a kind of a fallback plan to get that revenue generating and not have so much pressure to sell your e-commerce products. Thirdly, sell if you can. So if your business isn't doing as well as you'd like, or maybe you have found other passions that you didn't know you had, and your business is fairly stable, you've got a valuation done on it, see if you can sell it. Like I said, there are websites out there to sell your business, and there are brokers that will help you get connected with someone who wants to buy. I met someone this week at my local chamber. So I'm from the Tampa area. I live in a place that's about 45 minutes to an hour south of Tampa. And there was a woman there who explained that a lot of people from Canada are looking to buy businesses in Florida and in the US because they want to get out of Canada. So what other countries are doing right now is people are looking to the States and looking for businesses, buying them, getting to the US and then selling them. But once they get in, right, then they don't need to hold on to the business anymore. They just use it as a ticket to get in. So if you own a business and you're like, what can I do with this thing? You can definitely look at selling it because there is a demand right now. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and move on. All right, purchase an existing business. So we've talked about this a few times. I do want to share a couple of my favorite places to look for businesses. So LoopNet and Crexi, which is CREXI, they both have commercial real estate. So again, back to the SBA loan, the SBA likes real estate and business bundles. So for example, I had looked at an 8-unit apartment complex in Florida a couple weeks ago. It came 100% fully occupied. It was, revenue generating. It was good money maker, good cash cow. But when I did the inspection, there were some significant issues. So anyways, that's a story for another day. But the SBA liked that deal because not only was I buying the real estate property, but I was also buying that business. I was buying the cash flow, and I had cash flow day one. So if you're looking for lenders, they are a great way to not only get resources, free resources, but they're a great way to get connected to lenders for SBA loans. Two other of my favorite websites is BizBuySell and BizQuest. So they will have local businesses. You can look all throughout the US, see what's for sale. You can contact local brokers, and even just a simple Google search for small businesses for sale near me should give you a few good leads. I met a guy last week who he came from Guatemala, and there was a local business for sale making plantation shutters. So if you're from the South, the plantation shutters are the ones with like the wooden slats that go, down like that. And he said, I didn't know anything about plantation shutters, but when he evaluated the business, it had a high valuation, it made money. And so he decided to buy the shutter company. And within the first couple of years, he was able to grow that to a $500,000 business. So I tell you this because don't rule out any businesses just because, oh, that's silly, it's a shutter company. I met a lady who owned a dog grooming business, and during COVID, they were not impacted at all because people love their pets. They always will take care of their pets. They take them to get groomed, right? They'll do all those things. So there are certain businesses that even when the economy is going to shit, they're still going to do well, right? Think about laundromats. You might say like, oh my gosh, I don't want to take care of a laundromat. But if it makes money and you have enough wiggle room that you could hire someone to do the cleaning and empty the machines of change or whatever, then it might be worth your time. So don't kind of scoff at these ideas because there could be hidden gems out there that maybe you haven't even considered. All right. So the last kind of strategy that I wanted to talk to you guys about is get good at marketing. And like I said, this is something that carries through every industry. So creating brand awareness, this is particularly important today because when you go online, how many times do you get bombarded on Facebook and Instagram and Google and anywhere you go with ads, right? You're constantly being fed information. And so what people are looking for these days is the face and the personality behind the brand. They buy the brand, right? They don't just buy the product anymore. It's not like it used to be where you just drive down to the local store and buy what you need. You're now able to get millions of things with the touch of your fingertip. And so in order to make your brand stand out, you've got to show them who's behind the brand and create that trust. The second technique is to educate, don't sell. If you were walking down the street and you saw a complete stranger, you would not stop them and say, hey, do you want to buy my coaching program? Absolutely not, right? You would talk to them. You would kind of evaluate if they're even a good client for you. There's some pre-work that you would do before you try to sell them something. And so something that's becoming more popular is this education funnel. And I'll hop into an example on the next slide. And so basically what you do is you educate people and give them information and show them that you are an expert in the field before you ask them to buy from you. And then lastly is finding a gap. So I have my e-commerce brand. It was not doing well at first. I tried to hire marketing professionals to come in and help me, and they just didn't, it wasn't going the way that I wanted. And so I took charge of the marketing. And I said, okay, where is there a gap in this marketplace that nobody's tapping into? And what I found was that women in their 40s and 50s going through menopause, the clothing that I was carrying was actually a good fit for them. So organic cotton, bamboo fabrics, things that are sustainable are better for them because they don't have the toxins that will mess with their hormones. They don't have, they're more breathable, they're more lightweight. And so I took a product that originally I was marketing as sustainable, And I started to market it specifically to this gap in the market. And my sales went up 386% in the first month. So if you're not getting consistent sales and you're kind of in this whole pool of competitors, one way to make yourself stand out is to find a very niche, small gap and focus on that. And if you're like, no, there isn't a gap in my market, I guarantee there is somewhere. You just need to find it. So here's the example of the education funnel that I just alluded to. So at the very top of the funnel, right up here, this is where you have everyone, right? You're trying to reach as many people as you possibly can. And so some examples, right? Email marketing, writing blogs, online directories, pay-per-click. So that's your paid ads, TV, radio, SEO, word of mouth, and social media. So one thing you can do is create education through like a YouTube video. So make a YouTube video each week, and then you take that video, cut it into smaller sections, and use that to post on your social media. That way you're not having to come up with content all the time. You can reuse your content. I'm all about work smarter, not harder. Like, how can I do the least amount of work and make the most amount of money? That's what I want to do. And that's what I want to do for you guys as well. Another thing you can offer is free ebooks or master classes. Record it or have a PDF that's already done so that you're not having to continuously come up with this freebie, and it's a nice lead magnet, right? Once you get them aware of your brand, then you go into the evaluation phase. So in this phase, people are evaluating you to see if they like, know, and trust your brand. But this is a great time for you to evaluate your potential client as well, right? So what I do is I have a form that I have them fill out. It's relatively lengthy. And then at the end of the form, I say, how much money would you need to make to pay X dollars to a marketing business? And depending how they answer that question, I know whether they could afford my services or not. If they can't afford my service, I give them a lower ticket dollar value item and let them take that and run with it, right? If they can afford my service, I set them up on a strategy session call. Okay. So this is a really good point at the evaluation stage to say, should I continue to have phone calls with them and can they afford what I'm offering? Or should I try to just give them something else for now, right? It doesn't have to be forever, that I can at least have some income and not completely lose the sale. Once you get through the evaluation phase, then you move into engagement. So this is where you're having your follow-up calls. For me, it's a strategy session, which typically takes 2 to 4 hours, depending on the person and the size of the company. I do phone calls, social media messaging, and then of course, emails. Once you get that engagement, you guys decide, yes, this is a good fit. Your client or your customer likes what you're offering to them. Then it moves to the conversion stage. And this is when the customer is ready to buy and you finally get to make money. So one tool I really love is called Hotjar. It's a great tool to track your customer behavior on your website. And you can also use it to create a survey. So, when you go to a website, especially if it's like clothing or shoes, immediately there's a pop-up that says, put your email address right here and we'll give you, 10% off your next order. Everyone clicks out of it, right? Because you see them all the time. So make it different. What I do is I don't pop anything up. I wait until they go to exit. And then I say, did you find what you were looking for? What else can we help you with? Make it very customer focused because people like to talk about themselves, and you asking your customer, what did you like or not like, creates a whole different level of respect from them because they know you genuinely care about what they want and you're not just trying to sell them a product or a service. Okay, so what do we offer? So we is Jill Zambon Marketing and Consulting. And so what we do is brand strategy. So that form I was talking to you about in engagement, once I have people fill that out, then we take a look at your online presence. We look at how is your SEO on your website? How do your keywords rank against some of your competitors? Do you even have the right competitors that you're going against? Or do you have a good understanding of what your field looks like? And then we create a brand strategy for your business as to how we would grow you to the next levels. And that alone, I have had clients say, like, this is so good, I can take this and action off it. And that's great. Some people will skip down to number 4, which is the done for you marketing. So I'll bring that brand strategy. I'll say, this is what we recommend you do. And we help prioritize that work. And if they don't have time for it, then we can handle that all for you. So we can do the website build out and redesign if it needs to be done. We'll do SEO, we do email campaigns, we handle social media, and even small projects. So let's say that you have a launch coming up, maybe you're releasing a new course, maybe you have a new coaching program or even a product. We can help you with that launch. So from start to finish. So I have one client right now. She has a launch coming up April 13th. And so we'll backdate from April 13th and make sure everything's in place so that when she launches, she's not launching to just crickets, right? There will actually be an audience for her to launch too. And so that's another thing we can help with is small projects and your launches. And then one-on-one or group training. So I can do one-on-one training with people. So if there's something specific that you want to know how to do, maybe you want to know how to build a sales funnel and automate some of your process, that's something we can help do. I can help write scripts for you. We can do the videos together and then plug it into a funnel management system and kick that off. We can also do group training. So again, same thing, or we can do SEO. We can do how to write automated emails, good copy, how to check your website, all of those details we can do for you. So as part of this summit, what I'm offering is my brand strategy. So this is typically a $1,500 session in product. And again, it's your whole brand strategy blueprint. So we take a thorough review of where you're at compared to where you want to be and how your marketing needs to align to get you to that future state. And then I sit with you on that and create a plan that you can follow to implement that strategy. And so typically that's $1,500. Today, I am offering that for $495. So if you are interested, my contact info is on the next slide. So you can either text or email me and just let me know, hey, I'm interested in that brand strategy session. Make sure you mention that you are at the summit so I know to give you that deal. And I hope to hear from you.